and taxes through KMF Kia Hero and EV. 635 customer cash plus 2250 dealer discount off MSRP. Expires 8/5/23. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Football is back in Philadelphia as the Eagles are in training camp. Well, they reported today. They weren't actually doing much of anything today. But, hey, you know what? Football is back. We got a lot of football news to get to because even though the Eagles were not doing a lot on the field today, teams in their division were in the news. We'll get to all that this hour. Plus, Andy McNamara is back in FOJ. He will join us coming up in about 20 minutes from now as we will dig deeper into the NFL offseason as pretty much every team in the NFL is now in training camp. And so we are a week and 2 days away from the first NFL game of this football calendar year, and that would be the Hall of Fame game, which you can hear next Thursday night here in your home for the Eagles in the NFL. 97.3 ESPN here in South Jersey. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Now, here's what I'm going to get to off the top here, and it's not going to be the Phillies. I got to get to this football news because the Giants and the Cowboys being the news, for me at this point in time, supersedes a Phillies loss that may have zero consequence for this team when we get to October, okay? And I will get to the Phillies in just a bit, but when I saw the news break earlier today about Saquon Barkley signing his contract that is basically a moderate upgrade over the franchise tag, I thought it was a very interesting situation because we have been talking about Saquon Barkley saying, I don't want to hurt my teammates and hurt my team. But I feel like that might be the only leverage I have. And I think it's very interesting that a week later, Saquon is signing that deal and making his way into in the training camp of the Giants facility. And the reason why I think it's interesting is because it's very obvious that Saquon is in a very different state of mind than a player like Josh Jacobs, who has not reported the training camp. Josh Jacobs is on a football team that looks like they are completely and utterly directionless. Saquon Barkley's on a team that didn't just make the postseason last year. They beat the Vikings, a team that was one of the best teams in the NFC last year. Saquon Barkley was the most important offensive player on his team last year. Josh Jacobs had a great season, but he's arguably the number 2 offensive player on his team. So both guys are in very different situations. I think Saquon realized that the Giants wanted him there, but they were not going to bend over backwards to get him. And I think that is the larger point here. I think what gets overlooked in this is that the Giants were seemingly prepared to move on and be done. Not be done, but move on from Saquon if they had to, because they signed a guy like James Robinson, and they were going to say, look, if we have to play without him, we're prepared for that. You look at what the Eagles are doing. The Eagles have all of their running backs hanging around $7.2 million. You look at the money they're spending on Rashad Penny, Boston Scott, DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell. It's less than what the Giants are spending on Saquon Barkley. But the Giants realize that unlike the Eagles, they lack the depth and the balanced roster the Eagles do. The Giants are practically hoping that Darren Waller can play 75% of the season, because that means that they're going to get probably the best receiver that Daniel Jones has ever had during his time with the Giants. No offense to Darius Slayton or Sterling Shepard, but Darius Slayton, he's not even a top 15, 20 receiver in this league. And Sterling Shepard can't stay healthy. So for the Giants, they need Saquon Barkley desperately. And I think that's why this deal got done. Now, that is very different because the Giants recognized, we want you here. Barkley says, I need to show up and play so I can make this money. On the flip side, you have the Dallas Cowboys. Absolute mismanaged dumpster fire. Because while the Giants said, look, here's the deal, take it or leave it. Oh, you're coming to the table to sign? We'll give you an extra $1 million. On the flip side, the Cowboys are literally telling their all-pro Zach Martin to go pound sand. And here, Trevon Diggs, here's a bunch of money. It amazes me how tone deaf Dallas Cowboys are. I don't understand why this is even a conversation. I mean, why on earth does Zach Martin have to hold out for a better contract? It is utterly perplexing to me. And I don't understand it at all. The dude is literally getting paid half of what some other guards are getting paid. But yet, for some reason, the Cowboys can't figure it out. Cowboys just can't just get together and say, hey, man, we really appreciate you, Zach Martin. Why don't you come in here and play for us? I don't get it. You look at Zach Martin. He's going to be making about $7 million this year. Now, I understand that his cap hit and his AAV is a little higher than that. But there are several guards who are going to make more money than him this upcoming season. And I'm going to name you who those guards are. And you tell me if you think any of these players are worth financially or literally to their team more than Zach Martin is. For example, Brandon Sheriff is going to what we call walkaway money. He is going to make this year between his base salary, his roster bonus, his workout bonus, and the restructure money that was shoved into his pocket. He's going to make about $10 million this year. Who's worth more money, Zach Martin or Brandon Sheriff to his football team? I think the answer is easy. Zach Martin. Joe Bitonio of the Browns He's got an $11 million base salary this year with a $1.5 million roster bonus just for being on the roster. Who's better, Zach Martin or Joel Bitonio? I'm sorry, I'll wait till you can figure that out. What if I told you that Wyatt Teller is making more money this year than Zach Martin? To the tune of about $13 million. Again, Wyatt Teller, who sounds like a guy who lives on a cattle ranch in a Western show, or Zach Martin. Those are just a couple examples. Zach Martin is the best right guard in the NFL. But what do the Dallas Cowboys do? Hey, Trayvon Diggs, here's a bunch of money. Yay, let's celebrate. You have two players right now that are holding out, that are at non-glamour positions, who are arguably more important than half of their team's rosters combined. Zach Martin is more important than 95% of the Cowboys roster. If you care about protecting Dak Prescott, you care about winning football games, you lock up Zach Martin. You stop insulting him and telling him that Trayvon Diggs is more important when Trayvon Diggs is the most boomer bust player in the entire league. Even the Giants took a position and found a way to get Saquon Barkley in the camp. Probably the other player I'm not mentioning is Chris Jones, who didn't show up to the ring ceremony for the championship, hasn't shown up at training camp, is incurring fines for not showing up at training camp. Chris Jones is the third most important player on the Kansas City Chiefs. He might be second, honestly, because we all know Patrick Mahomes is number one. Chris Jones might be number two. Chris Jones is the reason why that defense even works. He is the most impactful defensive lineman in the NFL today, arguably. It's either him or Aaron Donald, depending on your perspective on how Aaron Donald is aging. But the Chiefs can't figure out how to take care of Chris Jones. And the Cowboys can't figure out how to take care of Zach Martin. It is utterly embarrassing that you have two franchises that can't just do the obvious. Just can't do the obvious, logical move here. So while the Eagles are pouring to camp with everybody here, everybody's being taken care of, everyone got paid, everyone's got contracts, nobody's holding out. Cowboys, can't pay the best guard in the NFL. And if you're one of the people who says that, what's his name? Quentin Nelson of the Colts is better, fine. Then he's the second best guard in the NFL. By the way, if you're wondering what Quentin Nelson is getting paid this year, Quentin Nelson is going to make in cash about $12 million this year between his base salary and his latest set of bonuses. So good for him. Josh Hennig here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Yeah, for those who are wondering, Zach Martin, his base salary this year is 1.7, and he's in the second to final year of a contract that really only has about $28 million left on it. So he has a couple more years left on his contract. He's got about $28 million left on it. But most of that money kicks in next year, not this year, the way the Cowboys structured it. But hey, take care of Trevon Diggs. Why not? All right, coming up next, we'll talk more football with Andy McNamara. Plus, we'll get to your text a little bit later this hour. Dan and EHT, I'll get to you and more a little bit later this hour. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 973 ESPN, your home for Eagles football and the NFL here in South Jersey.
Here's what you missed on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
I am tired of all the talk that comes out of Philadelphia in regards to the basketball team. It is talk. It is talk all preseason, all season, and then there's a bunch of talk for why it didn't go well, why it didn't work out. Then there's more talk about the future, more talk about this. Talk. Is there an organization in sports that talks more and produces less than the Philadelphia 76ers? I don't care. You want to win a championship in Philly or anywhere else? That's a statement that every human being on earth will make. I want to win a championship, would love to do it here or would love to do it anywhere else. I would like to have a nice dinner tonight in this casino or in another one or at home with my wife and kids. It's not a state. That doesn't mean anything. It's just word salad.
97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's got to be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying. She says her gums have been bleeding. Is there anything you can do? Try New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. It's professionally designed to start healing gums from day one.
Crest. Delivery's at the door. Can someone please unlock?
It's been an eventful afternoon with a spike in bookings at Claudia's event space.
We'd love to host Mermaid Fest.
She was already planning on having more event planners on hand.
500? That's a lot of tails.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Deodorant you use on your butt? You heard that right. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, founder of Lumi Whole Body Deodorant. It's time to summer-proof your body odor. Lumi's formula works everywhere. Pits, underboobs, and yep, butts too. All those places that naturally tend to get a little bit stinky when the weather gets hot. Lumi's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. That's 3 whole days of fresh fun in the sun. As an OBGYN, I met thousands of women looking for a better way to control odor below the belt. So I created Lumi, a pH-optimized aluminum-free deodorant that actually works, with over 150,000 5-star reviews to prove it. Ready for your freshest summer ever? Head to LumiDeodorant.com to get started.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 26 and get an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack that comes with a free product of your choice and ships free with code 26. LumeDeodorant.com, code 26 for an extra $5 off a Lumi starter pack. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 26.
Every piece of land has a story. Some right there's behind the wheel of a John Deere 1 Series tractor, like the Upshaws.
This is my tractor Penny. It's all about attention to detail.
But the Nelsons love cruising around their expansive Montana ranch in their John Deere Gator UV.
We've been here since 1868.
While the Caggianos drive a John Deere zero-turn mower to keep their Long Island brewery looking sharp.
Don't call me, don't bother me. I'm going out to mow for a couple hours.
Run with us and start telling your story. Learn more at johndeere.com/radio.
DQ presents Picture This. Picture your favorite Blizzard treat, but this one is being held by someone very special. RE, our Children's Miracle Network Hospital's champion.
Hi!
Miracle Treat Day is Thursday, July 27th. $1 or more of each Blizzard treat sold at participating locations benefits your local children's hospital and kids like Ari. So treat yourself in the most meaningful way.
Support kids like me on Miracle Treat Day, Thursday, July 27th.
DQ. Happy tastes good.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes fire sales.
This is it. The time has come for Bennett Chevrolet's biggest sale of the year. Bennett's Summer Sell Down Spectacular. First off, you get Bennett's exclusive GM supplier employee pricing on new Chevys. Yes, you pay what we pay, not a penny more. And unlike many other dealers, Bennett doesn't charge over MSRP. In fact, you can even get a new Chevy at thousands below MSRP. And there's available 1.9% financing. Looking for used? Our selection conditions never been better. Right now, Bennett is paying a record $10,000 minimum for any clunker towards any pre-owned in stock. That's a minimum 10 grand for any rat trap, any way you can get it to our lot. Imagine how much we'll pay for a good trade. Plus, Bennett Chevy's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's never any hassles or pressure. July is jumping all month long at Bennett Chevrolet during our summer sell-down spectacular. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig.
Well, football season is early in its infancy, but the year is underway with pretty much almost every team now at training camp. So to talk more football right now, well, he's a friend of the show. Andy McNamara is back for another year. He keeps answering my text. So, I mean, I'm assuming he still wants to come on the show when I do ask him, and he joins us now here on the Elite Acura Hotline here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, welcome back. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. Of course I'm answering the call, man. What's this season? Was this season 4 together now? 5, 4?
Well, I believe we first started doing show. You started first time, I believe it was 2019.
Oh, wow. Yeah, pre-COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Another season, baby. Let's go.
All right. It's like that scene from Boston Legal where they say, "You think we'll be back next year?" Sure. Same time, same channel. I hope so.
Right. you never know in this business, my friend. You never know. But
speaking of never knowing in this business, so everyone's favorite punching bag, the Dallas Cowboys, gave us more to rip them about because today they said Zach Martin, pound sand, Trayvon Diggs. Here's a boatload of money. Like, I mean, what rational idiot thinks that giving Trayvon Diggs the bag before taking care of arguably the best not just any guard, interior lineman in the league? I mean, dude, both Browns guards are going to make more money this year than Zach Martin. And I'm sorry, Andy, to inform you that neither one of those guards are as good as Zach Martin.
Joe Bitonio is a future Hall of Famer, damn it.
Yeah, right. You win.
Yeah, who knows? But no, to your point, I honestly checked when I saw like the breaking news. You know how they have like the NFL meme sites and the joke sites?
Yes.
I honestly checked. I'm like, okay, let me see. Is this like a punt? And it wasn't. I'm like, oh, like Diggs is Diggs is very good. Like, it's not a slight at him. Like, he's a very good player. Like, he's a key part of that team. But you're absolutely right, especially when you're looking at that offense and Dak that whole offense became a thing predicated on the offensive line. That's when the Cowboys started to get good again, when that offensive line was built, when it was strong. So to not keep one of your guys happy and to pay, like, are you telling me Trayvon Diggs really needed upwards of $104 million in max value? Like, I don't know. That seems like a lot. And then you have, okay, well, Zeke Elliott's gone, Tony Pollard. Like, do you not want to keep your offensive line and quarterback happy via the offensive line? I don't know. It's an odd play.
Yeah, I feel like this is like such an obvious thing, but only the Cowboys would mess it up. And, on the flip side, like, look at a team like the Giants. They stood their ground. They said, look, you put us in this position. You said no to a $13 million deal over a few years. We'll give you an extra $1 million just to show up this year, and it's like, I mean, my favorite part of this, I don't know if you saw it, but like one of the incentives is like he needs to hit like 65 receptions. And I'm looking at them like, well, he had 8 less than that last year. So it's like, that's not the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah. That was another strange one this morning. It's like Saquon Barkley avoids the franchise tag with the Giants. And then I looked, I'm like, wait, isn't that the franchise tag? And it's like, oh, it's $1 million more. Good, like slow clap, like good. You lost money. You lost money, Saquon. Like there was a call apparently Nick Chubb was saying at training camp over the weekend where all the running backs got together, led by Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley. And it was a very rare moment, Josh, of like honest response from a player at any point in the season. And Nick Chubb essentially said, like, at the end of the call was like, what can we do? There's nothing you can do. And then Saquon Barkley signed for pretty much the franchise tag. It's the state of the position. It's not right or wrong. It's wrong because the players are good, but like that's how it is. And it might swing back the other way. And you just have to know and get paid when you can. That's it.
I mean, look, I'll step out there. I'll say it's wrong because the reality is that, we treat running back is the only position in sports where we treat them differently than everyone else. Anyone else is still playing in their prime. We give them the bag. But running back, it's dag nabbit, you're 26 years old. You're fucked. I understand that Barkley's been injured. And I understand you don't want to give him $18-20 million. But you're telling me that if Barkley's like, I don't know about $13 million, you can't be like, look, dude, what if we just give you a fat signing bonus up front? You can make $15 million in the first year, and then the next few years, it's all a descending contract. You think Barkley's going to be like, I'm going to say no to generational money? Like, come on.
It seems like it really is a case where you're a star and then you're forgotten quickly. Like, look at some of the players that fell off the face of the earth. Like, you go back to fantasy, right? Like, go back and look at some of the champions, like Melvin Gordon, who wasn't necessarily a champ, but like he's fodder on the Ravens now.
Right.
You got there's just so many that are like, wow. And then after 3-4 years, like, forget about you. It's like, that guy still might be okay. Like, no, Todd Gurley. Like, man, Todd Gurley was 4 years ago. Todd Gurley was the man.
But see, the difference, though, let me mention real quick. Todd Gurley had a legitimate drop off. Like, his production, Melvin Gordon, his production. We haven't seen Saquon Barkley's production drop off. And by the way, did you know that Saquon Barkley is younger than Christian McCaffrey? He is younger than Derrick Henry. He is younger than Ezekiel Elliott. He is younger than Dalvin Cook. He is younger than Kareem Hunt. I mean, at some point, we got to stop looking at it's like politics. Like, people walk in a voting booth in America, just to let you know, Andy, how it works in America. Half the country walks in a voting booth, sees a D or an R next to somebody's name, and votes because of the D or the R.
And that's it.
They do the same thing with running backs in football. They see an RB next to the guy's name, and they just judge him off of that.
The difference to me with Saquon, though, and you mentioned it earlier, is the injury factor. Like, Josh, we can't deny, okay, he had a phenomenal year last year. The 2 previous years, disaster, and he got hurt in 2019. It was rookie season, doing well, missed the end, injured. And it says 13 games, but we know he wasn't right for most of those in 2021. And then balled out. So if you're the Giants, why do you want to give that money? So there's that side. The difference to me came to this. The Giants are so void of offensive talent. I'm really surprised that they did hold their ground, because you pay Daniel Jones, who, okay, he can run sometimes. The receiving core is laughable, filled with no names, and you have nobody who can replace Saquon behind you. So I'm very surprised they stood their ground, because their only true weapon is a healthy Saquon Barkley. But that's what comes into it. It's the question, can he stay healthy? And the wear and tear on these guys and the bodies that you do see them get beat up at 28. What's interesting to me, though, is from what you said, it's that second contract where you can still, you still give a guy a second contract and he can still be done kind of by 28, 29 still. But we're not even seeing that anymore. And that's what's really interesting, that it really is a revolving door. If you're a kid, I don't know why you'd want to be a running back, really.
Let me ask you this. And I just want your just off the top of your head reaction, okay? Whose injury history bothers you more? Is it Barkley or McCaffrey?
Barkley.
Okay. So then why is Christian McCaffrey's base salary $12 million in the next 2 years?
It's a good question. Better agent?
Maybe.
Maybe a better agent. I don't know. Like, the thing to me was and now Saquon, like we said, bounced back last year, but when he came back, it was slow and different injuries. It just seems to me like when Christian McCaffrey is on the field, off of an injury or not, that guy is just full go. He is like, you put him in and he is like, okay, I'm go. And then if he gets injured, you remove him for a moment. But it's that type of weaponry maybe that he has, and Saquon can catch the ball, but that he does have that pass catching ability, that he is with the 49ers on a team that I don't know, Josh, if I've in recent memory thought of a team that could be considered, I don't consider them a Super Bowl contender, but could be a conference championship contender without really a strong quarterback. Brock Purdy's injured. Look at the rest. Trey Lance is third on the depth chart. Josh, third behind Sam Darnold. What? So Christian McCaffrey, again, becomes more valuable, like Saquon Barkley was to the Giants, which, again, maybe goes back to the bad agent for Barkley, because that guy has as much value. I think you could say Saquon Barkley with those rosters, 49ers more talented roster, but for how valuable they are to their team, Saquon is equal to Christian McCaffrey, if not more so.
Andy McNamara joining us here on the Elite Acura Hotline here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and on 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Andy, who currently holding out is more of a concern for you? Is it Chris Jones, who didn't show up to the ring ceremony and is holding out of camp? Or is it Josh Jacobs, who could make $10.1 million, but he's holding out?
And again, that's the thing, man. Like, you got that money there. I understand you only have a certain time to get it and there's principle and all that, but at some point, man, like, what else are you going to do in your life if you get 10 mil? Come on. So the more valuable holdout, I think you got to go with Josh Jacobs. Now, Chris Jones, good Lord, that he's the heart of that Kansas City defense, but you kind of feel like the Chiefs would just score more points if they, if Chris Jones wasn't there, okay, would probably just score more points. If you look at the Raiders, and again, you go to the offense, you go to the value. Jimmy Garoppolo, healthy, I'll use that in quotations, for today. You look behind him, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell. Then you got Devontae Adams, who's throwing him the ball. So that's why Josh Jacobs really jumps out as that key factor, rushing yard leader last year. And he's not getting the respect. So the holdout, I think, that has the most impact immediately has to be Josh Jacobs.
It's interesting because, to me, I think Chris Jones might be the second most important player in Kansas City. And, I mean, that Chiefs defense is, what are they without him? And it's like, there's got to, I feel like Kansas City is a good enough run organization that there has to be some other reason except for just money that Chris Jones, like, there's got to be some sort of like, hey, we went into the negotiation and it went sideways kind of thing,
Right. Now there's also the fact that you're paying your quarterback and your tight end a crap load of money. Like, that's what happens when you get these second, third contracts for these elite players.
But remember, Mahomes signed that deal where it's staggered.
Mm-hmm.
So the pay goes up and down, up and down. It's like this, it's like this, like a seesaw or something, because Mahomes basically worked his deal so that they can work other people's money into the off years.
I wonder, I'd have to look up the salary cap situation for the Chiefs, but it could be a side negotiation. And you have to think of it like, okay, if you're the Chiefs, where else are you going to spend your money? It doesn't, from the outside, it makes no sense. From the outside, it should be figure out a way. You have your championship window is obviously right now. It's wide open again. You're one of, if not the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl. So why aren't you trying to make this work? Why aren't you trying to build around that?
According to Over the Cap, they only have about $500,000 in cap space right now. They still have Frank Clark's $7.5 million dead money on the books.
So that, like, something like that, Josh, really, I'm not going to claim to be any sort of mathematician or accountant at all. I went to school for accounting. Not doing that anymore. That tells you all you need to know. Okay? Not good at it. So the crunch numbers, and we know the numbers can be imaginary in the NFL. It can be poof, you turn something into a signing bonus, like you said, but then you have to kick that money down the road. So it can be confusing. I would have to think it has to be something in regards to that, because talent, unless there's a behind the scene personality case, if it is just, hey, can we make a deal? It makes no sense that Chris Jones is not in camp.
Chris Jones's base salary this year is $19.5 million. He can make up to $28 million this year, but here's the key. None of it is guaranteed.
Oh, there you go. When we know in the NFL, your contract is just guaranteed money. The rest.
Would you like to guess how much money Patrick Mahomes is projected to make this year?
Oh boy. Tell me what?
$28 million.
That's kind of pedestrian.
28.45 million is his guaranteed walk away. No matter what happens this year, He's getting $28 million this year.
It's all about the guaranteed money. That's why, Josh, we see these contracts and stuff comes out. So-and-so, 4 years, $50 million, 10 guaranteed. It's like, that's the contract. The 10 is the contract.
I would just love to know, like, there's got to be a way the Chiefs could turn to Chris Jones and be like, dude, we're going to pay you. Like, don't worry about the guaranteed money. Like, well, like, for example, I was saying before about, like, a guy like Zach Martin. Like, Jerry Jones should just be good at Zach Martin and be like, dude, I'll buy you an island or something.
Yeah,
like there's got to be some sort of side deal these teams can make with these players,
There's signing bonuses. There's all the accounting can be so creative in the NFL. We see it all the time, right? That's why you see in the off season, it's all right. So-and-so's contract, X number of dollars got converted to a signing bonus so they could have money to sign this new player.
Right.
Happens all the time. Again, I'm not going to pretend I know how the Chiefs can do that or any team can do that as far as the math goes. But it seems like if you want there to be a way, there is. If you don't, there's a reason not to. And that's pointing that there has to be some other underlying issue. And don't get me wrong. I think Josh Jacobs on the comparison directly makes a more immediate impact. But that would be a catastrophic loss for the Chiefs if Chris Jones goes.
It's so strange. I mean, Daniel Snyder is literally giving the NFL $60.5 million because he's a scumbag. And it's like, it's like you're telling me the NFL can't like funnel some of that money to Kansas City and the Dallas and wherever into the Giants to be like, just pay these guys and get them in camp. It's better for the league PR.
Just get it. But as fans of other teams, just nuts to those guys. Forget. Too bad. You get nothing. You don't get your Chris Jones.
Maybe the Browns shouldn't be paying Mr. Wyatt like double the money that Zach Martin's making.
Listen, Wyatt is a right guard. He's a pancake specialist, okay? He loves it for breakfast. He loves it on the field. It's phenomenal.
I was going to say, does he own an IHOP?
He loves it. He loves it. That Browns offensive line outside of Jedrick Wills on the left side is looking pretty good. And how about my guy Nick Chubb, voted top running back in the offseason polls? How about that? Huh?
Is he though?
Yeah. Well, this year, I think how he's used is going to be interesting. And this goes to you fantasy football people out there. While I think Nick Chubb and the coach and Deshaun have said he is going to get his. However, it's going to be a much different looking offense. With Baker and with Jacoby last year, it was Nick Chubb. It was the quarterback typically under center for the most part. And as we know, running backs get a running start. That helps when you get the ball. It also isn't as predictable. If you're in shotgun, you're from a standstill. Doesn't mean it can't work, but it's different. And so how he's used, whether it's a little bit more in the passing game or how that works out, is going to be interesting to see. And we talk about that running back value. Like Nick Chubb said, he's like, this could be me next year. And it could.
All right. So really quick, I'm putting you on the spot. You have the right to change your mind. It is July 25th, 2023. So maybe a month from now, your opinion will be completely different. So that's fine. But if we were starting a fantasy football draft right now, okay, and you're going to take a running back. You got the number 1 pick, number 2 pick, whatever. Running back's going 1, 2, probably 3. What should that order be?
I'll tell you this, Josh, from everything I've seen, from the research I've done, and from my own personal feel and strategy this year, running back might not go top 2 this year.
Really?
That is a borderline consensus across the board. I feel that, and I'm trying to deprogram myself to the automatic. It has to be a running back. Josh, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are flip-flopping 1-2 almost to a man. You're not hitting running back until 3, which is fascinating. And it goes to that we're seeing so many more committees, right? We're seeing so many more guys who can be replaced or put in and out that really, if you think about it, okay, well, Austin Eckler, are you going to take him above Justin Jefferson and his 1,400 yards? I don't know. You have more wide receivers, but now it all depends on your fantasy strategy. But overall, we are not seeing running backs going in the top 2 picks. And I don't know if I've ever seen that.
I don't know if I agree with that, though, because I would argue that because there are so many committees that you have to get the premier running back at the top of your draft. Like,
right.
If you know that once you get past Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry,
Eckler.
Once you get past those four guys, well, Eckler, what's going on
PPR,
there?
guy's a stud.
PPR, right. But I mean, once you get past the four I just named, you start having questions after that. You know,
Yes.
like I don't know what Travis Etienne's usage is going to be in Jacksonville. I don't know what Bijan Robinson's usage is going to be in Atlanta. Don't give me some malarkey that Miles Sanders is going to be some stud in Carolina. Okay.
Right.
Jonathan Taylor, I mean, I don't know what he looks like in the Shane Steichen offense necessarily because
With a
we
terrible
know that,
quarterback.
well, the quarterback situation is another impact on that, right? Yeah. I mean, don't tell me Alexander Madison, for goodness sake. I mean, that's a good joke. I mean,
people are jumping on Madison, and I'm with you. That has committee written all over it. To me,
right.
I'll give you my top 3 overall fantasy. Justin Jefferson, number 1. Josh, I think I just have to bite on it because it's tough to repeat what he's done, but the volume.
Oh wait, have you watched any of the Netflix quarterback show?
You know what? No, it's on my list, and I just haven't. I've been busy with other stuff. I haven't got around to it. No,
let me tell you something. Good. If you feel that way about Justin Jefferson, you will feel more about that if you watch the show.
Yeah,
because
loves him.
Dude, I gotta tell you something. I used to be a Kirk Cousins, like that guy's a weirdo. He's a loser. He's an average quarterback. Well, dude, I feel like I want to go hang out with him now. Like, I mean, the guy works so hard. I tell him right now, he was injured like 4 times last year, and the guy still put up like stupid numbers.
And he gets dumped on all the time.
And it's like, I'm looking at him like, this dude put up those numbers, got the ball to that receiver, and like literally there are clips of the show where he's laying on the ground screaming in pain. And like one point he goes to the sideline, the coach is like, you all right? He's like, no, I'm hurt. Like screaming at the head coach.
I'm not right.
Telling Kevin O'Connell, like, leave me alone. You know?
I'm not
and
well.
It's like, if that guy is getting Justin Jefferson the ball and he's literally laying on the ground screaming in agony, yes, Justin Jefferson can be number 1 overall pick.
You got to go Justin Jefferson. I go Christian McCaffrey too, and I toggle with number 3. I love Jamar Chase. A little banged up last week.
I think that's too high for Chase.
Got me a little skittish.
Do.
But
I
again,
just think it's too high.
But like, if we look at it, okay, Christian McCaffrey too. That's great, Christian McCaffrey. But we talked about the injuries. Those we just can't forget about those. Like, what if that happens? Then again, we're stuck.
Well, Jamar Chase has had injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. And how high do you want to take Saquon Barkley with those injuries? Where does a Travis Kelce go? Right? Like, there's a lot. There's so many. It's a very interesting. It's probably the most interesting fantasy offseason that I've seen in a while, simply because we're not just automatically, Christian McCaffrey, or running back X number 1. You can make a legit case for a few different directions, and that's it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
See, I don't mind you going Jefferson. I just can't go Chase.
I won't go Chase too. I don't think I'm torn on.
I don't. I
want Eckler.
Here's a hot take for you. I don't even know if Chase is in my top 5.
Really?
Because 1, the injury history.
Yeah.
And 2, he's on a team where he doesn't need to get the ball all the time. Burrow has other options. He can get it to T. Higgins. He can get it to Boyd. He can throw it to Mixon out of the backfield. Like, it's not like Burrow. It's like Jefferson is the Vikings' number 1 guy. Travis Kelce is the Chiefs' number 1 guy. And no one has stopped those guys. So, like, if you told me Travis Kelce is a top 5 pick, I'm fine with that. That makes total sense to me. I'm skittish on Jamar Chase. If you were asking me who my 5 are, I got you on Jefferson. I got you with McCaffrey. I would strongly consider Kelce at 3. I know he's a tight end, but take the tight end off of his name. He's the number 1 receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 or 5 is some combination of Barkley and Chubb, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing, too. We talk about how few running backs that there are who are those true, I don't even know if you want to call them bell cows anymore, but true ones. There's fewer tight ends, Josh. There's fewer. So if what you're saying isn't crazy. Like, if I'm in that middle first round, if I'm at 5 and Travis Kelce's staring at me there, if I take Travis Kelce, I know I don't have to worry about tight end the whole year. I'm good. If you don't get him, and then you don't get one of the other couple, Kittle, you can't rely on. Talk about injuries. Darren Waller, I love the potential. Can he bounce back? The rest are just, I believe it's from tight end 4 to like 11. There was like 7 points differentiating. They get non-special so fast that if you don't get Travis Kelce, you're going to be on the waiver wire. It's going to be hashtag Ask Andy all year. Who do I get for tight end?
And it's crazy because according to the rankings by executives and coaches, Dallas Goedert is a top 5 tight end in the league.
I do love Dallas. Yeah.
But based on stats, he's not a top 5 tight end statistically. He has not gotten the same level of targets that Zach Ertz used to get when he was in Philadelphia. So it's not really Goddard's fault necessarily, but like you're almost looking at a guy like TJ Hawkinson a little more than Dallas Goedert. And I think Goddard's the better tight end. Goddard's the better athlete, in my opinion. He's the better blocker. He's a better all-around football player. But Hawkinson's probably getting more targets.
Yeah, and you look at it with Minnesota, because if it's not Jefferson,
then who is it?
It's going to be Hawkinson. That's a real nice cut. And Hawkinson popped last year. But you look at the rankings, like Mark Andrews, up and down, up. That's a roller coaster. And he's one of the guys, and this is what drives me nuts. People just look at the total stats. You got to look at some point the weekly average, because Mark Andrews can go for 153 touchdowns and then have like nothing for a month. And it's because of Lamar Jackson. And I'm sorry, do you not think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to get a little salty? His dad's going to be getting the video editor ready, like he hosed over old Baker. If he's not getting the ball, Mark Andrews, I don't trust. George Kittle, you can't trust. Kyle Pitts is being moved up again. Love the talent, super young, but Josh, he hasn't proven squat, and you have Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball. We'll get to that on another show. I'm actually quite bullish on Desmond Ridder, but we'll talk about that another time. Evan Ingram with Jacksonville. Okay, for your move, Pittsburgh. My guy Njoku for the Browns. Like, boy, man, it gets ugly real quick at that position. Like, real fast.
It does. You're absolutely right. He's Andy McNamara. Follow him on Twitter at AndyMC81 for all your football, fantasy football, NFL, and the 20 other things that he does in his spare time. All of his 20 million jobs, including the Sick Podcast, at AndyMC81 on Twitter. Or are they calling it X up there yet? Because we got the X symbol down here.
I was so confused. I mean, no, it's like, what's going on? Like, do we have to go to Threads? Is Threads a thing? Like, do I need another freaking app? Can I
just give you my take on that? I think Threads is a fake. I think Threads is trying to compete, but it sounds like that it's got some serious flaws. The problem with the X and Twitter thing is that Elon Musk is trying to create this like platform where it's like multiple different things are all in one. Yeah. And he's trying to bring Twitter into that. Twitter still works the same. It's not like it's changed. It's what Twitter is? Twitter is the line, rumor of my demise has been greatly exaggerated,
Yeah. Well, the thing, like, Elon, just go buy a sports team. What's your problem? Just right, you're filthy, right? What are you doing? Why give yourself the hassle? Go buy a sports team, have some fun. I don't get it. It's too much work. Good Lord.
He's a weird guy, man. When you don't get to that level of rich and not be a little bit off. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Yeah, he's a strange dude. He lived in Canada for a while too. Don't blame us.
No, he's from South Africa. So.
Yeah, but he lived in Canada for a while.
Oh yeah, well I know that. Yeah. Well, didn't he go from South Africa to Canada, then the United States?
Yeah. We didn't mess him up, I'm sure.
Oh, of course not. No, nothing's wrong up there in Canada, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, please. Help.
Andy, take care of yourself, my friend.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon. See ya.
And Andy McNamara joined us on the Elite Acura hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer Up Performance event located on Route 73 in Maple Shade, online at EliteAcura.com.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Experience the future of luxury SAVs at BMW of Atlantic City, where the all-new 2024 BMW X5 is waiting for you. Take advantage of our exceptional offer and drive home a new 2024 BMW X5 xDrive 40i for $949 a month for 36 months. Visit BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think, located in Egg Harbor Township, and online at bmwatlanticcity.com. For more details, call 609-316-2393.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Was there water in your basement or crawl space from the recent storms? Perfect Basement, based in South Jersey, provides certified waterproofing, mold remediation, and foundation repair. One call to resolve it all. They work in basements, crawl spaces, attics, anywhere that moisture creates mold. Call Perfect Basement before mold becomes a problem and find out why realtors choose Perfect Basement for their fast response and expert service. Schedule a free inspection and check out their great reviews at perfectbasement.com.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
0, 0, 0. Get your zeros here. That's a zipper zero zilcha.
No, that's not it. Get low APR financing at Matt Platt Nissan with 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
Put 0 down, pay 0% financing, or make 0 payments for 90 days on every Matt Platt Nissan in stock. Plus, with your job clearing $450 per week at Matt Platt Nissan, you're virtually approved. If other dealers are telling you that you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, and you can't buy a new ride anywhere else with peace of mind, like Matt Platt Nissan's exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattPlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattPlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/6/2023. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan, the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Sail into summer in New Jersey. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Enjoy iconic shores, history, and culture, from dazzling cities to charming countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, as promised, we'll get to your guys' text before I get out of here. We're a little along with Andy McNamara, 609-403-0973. Dan EHC chimed in earlier, said the Giants are headed to a 9-8 season and irrelevant. They're the 76ers of the NFL. Barkley could be an MVP candidate. The team isn't good enough. Jones is what he is. He's not good enough either. I better stop texting because now the Giants win the Super Bowl because I said all that. Well, the Giants aren't winning the Super Bowl, Danny HC. So you don't have to worry about that. But you're right. You know, the Giants, but their 9-8 is less about because they're irrelevant or they're a bad football team, but more so because they're scheduled. We documented this last week when I was talking with Jordan Ronan, who covers the Giants for ESPN NFL Nation. The Giants have one of the hardest schedules in all of football. And so you're asking a team that has serious limitations to win more than 9 games when they're playing the gauntlet that they got to face this year. It's hard for me to see it. And you're right. Daniel Jones is what he is. This idea that Daniel Jones is going to take another step this year, I just don't see it. I'll believe it when I see it. George from Summers Point chimes in, says, Josh, my question is, do you think that the Giants are a much better run organization than the Cowboys and may actually give the Eagles a little more competition in the NFC East this year based on the currency of the other teams? Let me know. Thanks, George in Summers Point. George, I think as of right now, the Giants are better run. I think if this was 2 and 3 years ago, I would say the Cowboys are the better run team. I think there are 2 things that have changed in the last couple years with the Giants and the Cowboys. I think the first thing that changed for the Giants is they got rid of the haphazard people in the front office, people like David Gettleman and others who were doing a bad job with the draft, bad job with free agency, misusing salaries. They just weren't building good football teams. Cowboys used to be one of the best at building a roster, but not good at hiring coaches. Well, now the Cowboys started making questionable decisions with their roster, and it really started to me at least, a couple years ago when the Cowboys, they drafted Micah Parsons in the first round, and the rest of their draft was kind of average. They've overpaid Trayvon Diggs now. They got Tony Pollard on basically a one-year contract, and Dak Prescott is telling him, hey, good luck, we're all counting on you. Cowboys, I got some questions about them this upcoming year. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Catch you tomorrow.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from the locker room. Join me and former chief of the Longport Beach Patrol, Dan Adams, and former lieutenant of the Ocean City Beach Patrol, Jack Brooks, this Friday for 97.3 ESPN's live broadcast of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races from Wildwood.
97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races is brought to you by Surfer Supplies, located at 3101 Asbury Avenue in Ocean City, in business since 1962. McCann Realtors of Sea Isle City, experience the McCann difference, family owned since 1939. Blitz's Market, located at 21st and Asbury in Ocean City. Voted Best Deli 7 years running, now serving freshly squeezed orange juice. And by All Campus Sports, located at 1028 Boardwalk in Ocean City, with over 500 college and professional sports teams' hats in stock. Don't miss the Locker Room with Billy Schweim's live coverage of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races this Friday night at 6 p.m. on 97.3 ESPN. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Yo. Still too loud. 97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races is being brought to you by Surfer Supplies, located on 30. I gotta try that again. 97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races is being brought to you by Surfer Supplies, located at 3101 Asbury Avenue in Ocean City, serving up Stoke since 1962.